Hello and welcome to episode 22 of Tall Guy Talks Travel with Rick Doherty. Of course, I am your host, Rick Doherty. We have an absolutely loaded show for you today. Later in the episode, my wife Courtney and my friend Jeff will be joining me for a dining review for breakfast at the Wave of American Flavors at the Contemporary Resort in Walt Disney World. Jeff is a WDW cast member and he runs the blog Magical Pursuit. Before that, we'll talk with YouTuber Kiki, who produces the vlog That's So Kiki. She's another very positive part of the Disney community, and I think you should check out her page. Quickly, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you to like, comment, and subscribe. I have been so proud of how the podcast has grown in a very short time. I want to continue to spread the word. Also, I am an authorized Disney travel planner. My services are always 100% free to you, and just a $200 deposit can lock in your next Disney vacation. Email me, rick@eartotheretravel.com, rick@eartotheretravel.com, or call 727-507-3123. That's 727-507-3123. Now let's welcome Kiki to Tall Guy Talks Travel. How are you doing today, Kiki?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing excellent. Let's talk first about your YouTube channel, That's So Kiki. You do a lot of different things on the channel, and I think a lot of my listeners would enjoy checking out your channel because obviously a lot of mutual interest there. So why don't you describe it a little bit for me?
Yeah, so on my channel, I'm kind of a vlog channel with a majority focus on Disney because I'm obsessed with Disney, so it makes sense. But yeah, I try to just make a community where we could all be ourselves and just have fun.
So some of my favorite videos are ones that you have done where, for example, you'll take a recipe for an item that is available at Disney and you'll try to make it and replicate it at home. What gave you the idea to do those videos, and what are some of the items that you have tried to make at home? And then most importantly, how did they turn out when you made them?
Oh gosh, so I am a big cook at home. I love to cook, but I've never been good at baking. So I bought the Disney cookbook, which is just a bunch of like desserts and recipes and stuff from the Disney parks. So I was like, well, since I'm terrible at baking, let's try to record me baking and see how that turns out. I've made raspberry macaroons. I've made ratatouille, which the ratatouille was great. Macaroons, not so much.
I think that's such a great concept because a lot of people out there don't get to go to the parks all the time, and doing things like this sort of replicate their lives. They're trying to bring a little bit of the parks into their lives on a daily basis because they don't get to be there on a daily basis. That's also something you try to take care of on your channel by having vlogs from your trips and making sure that you're not just enjoying it while you're there, but you're bringing back something to share with other people, but also probably to enjoy yourself, kind of have your own little diary of your trips. So what are some of your newer vlogs from your most recent trip?
So the way that I split up my vlogs is by day. So I have like a Fantasia Gardens vlog and a Flower and Garden Festival vlog that I just uploaded from my past trip. And then I'll have an Animal Kingdom, Universal, Magic Kingdom, and Hollywood Studios.
Excellent. So how did you actually enjoy the Flower and Garden Festival this year? I thought this year's Flower and Garden Festival was pretty great. There were a lot of good food options. Obviously, the topiaries are just awesome and so beautiful and photogenic. What were some of your favorite food options that you got the chance to try at the Flower and Garden Festival?
I don't know, everything was so good because I had never been to the Flower and Garden Festival before. So, my top priority was getting that violet lemonade, which was amazing. But all the other foods were just incredible, especially everything in the Mexican pavilion. Oh my gosh, it was heavenly.
Yeah, I'm a vegetarian, so I got to try that plant-based chorizo, and that was just off the charts good. I think it might have been my favorite thing at the whole festival. It tasted like you got a Frito, but it was just completely off the assembly line. Like it was still hot, it was ready to go, and that was the base for it. That was such a great dish. I totally agree with you about the Mexico booth. So obviously we're dealing with everything going on because of the pandemic, and a lot of people are getting back to Disney for the first time in a while. Was this your first trip back in a while, or had you been a few times since the closure?
It was my first time back in a while. My last trip was back in 2019.
And when was the most recent trip?
May of 2021. It was like the last week.
Awesome. So having gone all that time, obviously the parks are a lot different right now, especially in May of 2021. Since then, a few things have come back. But what was it like your first time back with all of the different changes? Did it still feel magical? Did you still get all the vibes that you usually get? Or, were you having a little bit of an issue?
It was still very magical, but in a different way. So I am a huge crier when it comes to Disney, and I cried the entirety of my trip. This past trip, it wasn't that level of magical, just because like parades weren't there and fireworks weren't there and all the shows were closed. But I definitely did cry some. It's still magical.
So you mentioned parades not being there. So this was then your first chance to see those random character cavalcades. How did you enjoy that? It's something that I'm really liking at this point because I feel like it gives me an excuse, especially at Magic Kingdom, to just sort of hang out on Main Street USA because I know they're going to be coming. And maybe in the past I was more ride to ride to ride and just hanging out in the lands. But I feel like there's something to be said for hanging out on Main Street USA, waiting for some of these character cavalcades to come through. How did you like them?
The cavalcades were great. I did get to catch a couple of them. I think I missed some though, but when I was walking and you see them coming down like Main Street, I can't even describe it. It's like the most amazing thing. Like I was like a little kid running up to the princess. It's like, hi.
I've heard it described by other people as if it really feels like the characters live there when they have these random cavalcades, as opposed to the parade where you just wait for about an hour if you want to get a good seat and all those types of things. So this really feels like it's so random, like they're just in their park, in their natural element. So I do really like the cavalcades. If parades ever come back, I hope they find a way to keep cavalcades in some form or fashion.
Yeah. I think it would be kind of cool if they had some of the characters just walking around like they do at Disneyland. That'd be great.
I think we're still a little bit away from that, but I definitely hear what you're saying. But you know what? A lot of stuff is coming back, and it's coming back really quickly. It's definitely a possibility. So you went in late May of 2021, which means you were at Universal when they were still doing soft opens of Velocicoaster. Did you ride Velocicoaster?
I did ride Velocicoaster.
Okay, that is something I'm definitely going to have to ask you about it. Don't spoil it for when your vlog goes live on Universal, but let me know a little bit. What are your thoughts on it?
I thought it was amazing. I'm not going to say exactly what the ride does, but I do want to say it's not as scary as it looks. It's actually extremely fun.
Did you find yourself catching a lot of air where you didn't feel yourself attached to the seat?
Yeah.
That is definitely a common feeling people are getting on that ride. I know it has just become one of the biggest attractions in the Orlando area. Everybody I know absolutely loves it. People are going to ride it multiple times in the same day. I already know people who've ridden it dozens and dozens of times, and it hasn't even been open all that long. So popular. If we're throwing out a lot of terms and you don't know them yet, Velocicoaster is the new Jurassic Park roller coaster at Universal's Islands of Adventure. What were some other things that you got to check out at Universal that you really enjoyed? How did you feel their safety measures were, and did you feel that that had the same level of quote-unquote magic as before everything happened?
When I went to Universal, it was my first time going to Islands of Adventure. So everything there, I got to experience for the first time, which was incredible. Let me think, what was my favorite? Okay, Velocicoaster was great. I didn't get to ride anything in like the Harry Potter world because all the lines were way too long. I was like, I only have a little bit of time, but yeah, it's okay. So all of those rides were incredible. Let's see, the safety measures, I felt okay. Like it wasn't bad at all. And everyone was keeping their distance. So that was good. As far as magic goes, it was extremely magical.
It's definitely unique how different, especially very recently, it has gotten between Universal and Disney when it comes to the safety measures. I sort of feel like the safety measures were very, very similar at the beginning, and now they're sort of moving a little bit in different directions. So we'll see how that continues. I'm sorry you didn't get to check out any of the experiences in the wizarding world of Harry Potter because there are some fantastic rides in that land. Hagrid's is an amazing roller coaster that, sort of like you were saying, how Velocicoaster isn't as scary as it looks. It's almost a Disney-esque roller coaster where almost anybody can do it. Like, it's not too thrilling that the people in your family who get scared of stuff like that would have a hard time with it. But all of those Harry Potter offerings are really, really cool at Universal. Did you get the chance to do the Spider-Man ride?
I did.
That is one of my favorite rides. I feel it's underrated. Like, I know people talk about it being great, but when they're talking about their favorite rides at Universal, they don't always mention it. How did you feel about the Spider-Man ride? Especially because now on the West Coast, with Disney having their own Spider-Man ride, now there's inevitably going to be comparisons between the two. So how did you feel about the one at Universal?
I absolutely loved it. I don't know how they got everything to feel so real, like you're actually like dropping off the building and stuff like that, but it was incredible.
I know not everybody's going to be listening to this episode the day it goes live, but if you are, tomorrow, Kiki on her channel, That's So Kiki, will have a brand new vlog, and it will cover her day at Disney's Animal Kingdom on the trip. People who listen to the show a lot have heard my guest, Marissa, who's on quite frequently on the show, and she is a big believer that Animal Kingdom is definitely the most underrated park at Walt Disney World, but that it might be the best park at Walt Disney World. So many things to experience that aren't necessarily rides or attractions. So what are some of the things we're going to get the chance to see you experience at Disney's Animal Kingdom?
Okay, first I just want to say I agree. Animal Kingdom is very underrated. It's an amazing park. Some of the things I get to experience. I get to have a night blossom for the first time, which that is a whole experience in and of itself. I go on Kilimanjaro safaris. I experience It's Tough to Be a Bug for a first time. I'm not going to say my reaction on here. You'll just have to watch the vlog and see how I liked it. I definitely rode a lot of rides. We just ate a lot, honestly.
Animal Kingdom is definitely becoming a sneaky good food park. I think it would be hard to argue that Satuli Canteen is not the best quick service location inside a Walt Disney World theme park. It's so good you can get bowls that are rather affordable. You can get that cheesecake dessert thing that looks beautiful, very Instagrammable, but also tastes amazing. They have the cheeseburger pods for people who like that. That is a great quick service location. And then there are a lot of good sit-down restaurants. A lot of people like Yak and Yeti. Tusker House is coming back now. Anybody who's listened to this podcast knows how much I absolutely adore Tiffin's. I think it is basically tied for the best dining experience on property with Hollywood Brown Derby. So there's a lot of good food at Disney's Animal Kingdom, and they usually have some different cupcakes or treats depending on what time of the year. Did you get the chance to do any of the walking trails, any of the treks?
So, no. My family was very big on the thrill aspect, so we didn't get to do a whole lot of walking trails. I did get to see a couple animals, but not a whole lot.
Your family kind of takes the animal out of Animal Kingdom at some point.
Yeah.
And I know from your Twitter, and first of all, why don't you plug your Twitter? Tell everybody how they can follow you.
Yeah, my Twitter is thatso_Kiki. If you go check out my YouTube channel, it's always in the description, along with my Instagram.
And I know from following you on Twitter that one of your favorite things about your Walt Disney World vacation was finally getting that cotton candy in the bucket. So how many times did you hit up that cotton candy, and did you bring some back so you have that fix whenever you need it?
Okay, so this trip I was a little conservative with the cotton candy. I think I only had like 6 tubs while I was on my trip, and then I brought 4 back.
So that's conservative with the cotton candy for you. That's fun.
Yes.
So one definite reason to start following your vlog is that you are about to be moving down to Florida to start college. Now be honest, did you pick a school in Florida just to be closer to Walt Disney World?
Yes and no. I did apply to a bunch of schools in Florida so I could be close to Disney, but I was like, if I don't find one that just speaks to me, then I'll go somewhere else. But I did happen to find a school in Florida that I loved, so, it's a win-win.
So unfortunately for you right now, Disney is not doing annual passes, at least new annual passes. So how are you going to try to control yourself and limit the amount of time that you spend in the parks, knowing that they're right there?
Oh gosh. Well, being on a college student budget, can't go to Disney all that often, but I can't promise that I won't spend every weekend at Disney Springs. So, it's a nice little compromise in the middle.
And of course, don't forget that you don't just have to experience Disney Springs. That's not the only place you can go for free. You can always park at Disney Springs and then take the buses to the different resorts and show everybody the resorts. Your vlog channel is going to get really, really busy, I have a feeling, because you're going to get to check out a whole bunch of these restaurants. You're going to get to check out, obviously, Disney Springs, as we said. And there are some ways that you can experience that Disney magic without going into the theme parks. You really can do it, and you can just walk around some of these resorts and their entertainment in and of themselves.
Yeah, I'm super excited to check out the resorts because the only resort I've been to was All-Star Movies. So I'm excited to see like the bigger resorts and the nicer ones.
And with all due respect to All-Star Movies, I've stated All-Star Movies. I love All-Star Movies. It definitely serves its purpose. If that's the only Disney resort you have experienced, you definitely have to check out some of the other ones. Just spending a day mobile ordering quick service from Roaring Fork at Wilderness Lodge so that you can park there and then pick up your food, eat your food in that beautiful lobby. That's a vlog right there. I have just given you one of your first vlogs from when you moved down here.
Well, thank you for the idea.
There are a lot of really great experiences that you can have, and you don't always have to be in the theme parks. I think that is an important thing to discuss. I know people who sometimes do staycations at Walt Disney World and don't even go into the parks the entire time they're there because they just love the experience of some of these great resorts. They love the food options that are available. Maybe they're from somewhere colder. They like the weather, things like that. So then when I do have new people on the show, I sort of like to get a taste of their Disney fandom and what are some of their favorite things both in the parks and in the movies. So we just start talking Disney after a while. So first of all, we'll just go with your 3 favorite rides at Walt Disney World.
Oh, Rock and Roller Coaster is one. I think I'm gonna have to say, the People Mover. Love the People Mover. Maybe Flight of Passage.
That is a really eclectic mix of rides that you picked. You picked a really big thrill ride in Rock and Roller Coaster. You picked a new technological experience there with Flight of Passage. And then you went with one of those classic rides that every Disney nerd is like, yes! I've been so excited to have it back because it was down for over a year. And I just don't think there's anything more relaxing than just going around Tomorrowland, looking at all the views, watching people rush through their day while you're kind of relaxing.
Yeah, it was actually my first time on the People Mover this past trip because everyone was like, you have to ride it, and it was great.
It's so fun going through Space Mountain. I have had the experience before where I've known that Space Mountain was down, so I got on the People Mover hoping to see it with the lights on, and that's a whole different experience too. That's really cool. The People Mover is so great, almost underappreciated unless you're in the Disney community where maybe we overappreciate it a little bit. But it is such a great ride. Okay, now we'll move on to what are your 3 favorite Disney movies?
Lady and the Tramp is one, for sure. Lately, I've been obsessed with Beauty and the Beast, so I'm going to call that my second one. My favorite movie changes every month, so it's hard to pick just 3.
What's one you're kind of vibing on right now?
The Aristocrats. I don't know why, but that one, like, this movie's really underrated.
Aristocats is fun. I do definitely enjoy that one. One of the things that I liked about you when following you on Twitter, and then when I started watching your YouTube channel a little more, I didn't even realize, like you said, you're about to go to college. I didn't even realize that you were as young as you are because you definitely have a lot of interest. Like, not a lot of people your age would say the Aristocats or some of these other opinions that you have, like Lady and the Tramp being your favorite Disney movie. You definitely, I don't want to say you have an old soul or whatever. Like, that's not what I mean, but it's cool how you are not just into Disney as what it is right now. Like, you sort of get the wide breadth of everything that is available. And that's really cool. I don't know if that is your parents instilling that into you or if you just sit in front of Disney Plus for hours and just try to check out everything. But it's interesting how you do have that wide variety of Disney love.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, I actually get it from my grandma. She was a huge Disney fanatic, and kind of passed it along to me. So now I'm showing everything to my parents, and they're starting to love it.
Oh, that's fun. That's a great connection. Now, we have talked a little bit on Twitter about the fact that you are thinking about trying to make a Disneyland trip. Is that true?
That is true.
Trying to get that in before college or wait for one of your breaks?
I think I'm going to wait for one of my breaks.
So, have you ever been to Disneyland before?
I haven't.
Okay, so what are some of the things that when you do eventually get to visit Disneyland, you are most excited to experience?
The new Marvel Land for sure, Avengers Campus. That's my number one because I'm a huge Marvel fan. The Monsters Inc. ride. That one. Definitely the Mission Breakout. I heard it's amazing at night, so I want to ride it at night.
This is a really interesting answer you're giving me, and it's something that I think if executives from Disney were listening, and I'm not flattering myself to assume they are, but if they were, I think they would be really excited that all of your answers right now are at Disney's California Adventure because they are trying to build up that park and make it a full day experience, make it something that people want to do, maybe not equal to Disneyland Park, but at least have it take up a good portion of people's vacations so that they're taking a full vacation instead of just 2 or 3 days. And the fact that you've already listed off a bunch of things at DCA that you want to experience shows that they're doing a good job because you still haven't mentioned Radiator Springs Racers, which might be the best ride on Disneyland property. So there's a lot going on at DCA, and just you thinking about what you want to experience went to a lot of different things at DCA, and I think that's cool. But anyway, continue. What are some other things that you want to see at Disneyland?
Yeah, Radiator Springs Racers for sure because I love cars. Uh, so excited for that ride. But also Pirates of the Caribbean because I want to compare it to the Disney World one. So I heard it's better.
Spoiler alert, it is so much better, and I don't even know a way to make a comparison. Essentially, what happened, they weren't initially planning on having Pirates of the Caribbean at Walt Disney World, but people were expecting it because they had heard about how good it was at Disneyland. So eventually they gave in to everybody and built it, but they didn't have the time to build it as long and as intricate as the one at Disneyland. I believe the one at Disneyland is like 7 minutes longer.
Wow.
Which is substantial. You have
Yeah.
the part at the beginning where you're going through the Blue Bayou restaurant. That is unique to the Disneyland version. It is a little bit more thrilling when you talk about drops. We'll just
Really?
say that, yes.
Yeah, I heard because I think Disney World only has one drop or
And that's
two.
not even really a drop, the one at Walt Disney World. It is
Yeah.
a hill, if you
Yeah.
will. So definitely the one at Disneyland. It is just a longer experience. You're going to love it. You'll absolutely love it. And it just being the original one always has a cool vibe to it as well.
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely going to love Disneyland. It is so fun. Just to plug my own channel, At the end of August, I'm going to be going with co-host Sarah, who's on the show a lot. So we are definitely going to have a ton of episodes where we talk about Avengers Campus, where we talk about some of the food offerings, where we talk about just the experience of being back there, because I think we're really, really looking forward to it. So Kiki, I want to say thank you so much for joining me today. I think that you are a creator who's sort of getting started, and I think you're doing a lot of fun, positive stuff. I really want everybody to check out your YouTube channel. That's So Kiki. I'm sure people of certain age ranges will get that reference. And if you can give them the @ to find you on Twitter as well.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me on the show. My @ on Twitter is @thatso_Kiki. It's also my @ on Instagram and my YouTube channel. I'll try to make it consistent.
There tends to be a lot of negativity in the online Disney community. Kiki is one of those people who's always bringing positivity, who's always making you excited to spend time in the parks. She understands that it is a privilege that we get to do these things as much as we get to do them. So she appreciates every minute she's there. I definitely suggest you follow her. She's really one of the good ones in the community. Thanks for coming on, Kiki.
Thank you for having me.
And now, as promised, we're going to move on to a Disney dining review. I have two people joining me for this review today. First, of course, my wife, Courtney, who you've heard on the show in the past.
Hey, Rick.
And we also have my good friend, Jeff, the creator and mind behind the blog Magical Pursuit. He is also a Walt Disney World cast member. Thank you for joining me today, Jeff.
Oh, thanks, Rich. Happy to be here.
So earlier this week, we got the chance to check out breakfast at The Wave, which is a restaurant currently, but not for too much longer, that you can check out at the Contemporary Resort in the Magic Kingdom monorail loop at Walt Disney World.
As a cast member, I have to jump in here. It's one of the things we learned is to say the full name. It is The Wave of American Flavors.
Yes, it is The Wave of American Flavors at the Contemporary Resort at Walt Disney World in Lake Buena Vista, Florida.
Exactly.
And I'm just going to say right off the bat, this is a dining review, so we're going to go a little more in depth, but I thought this was great. Do you agree with me, Jeff?
Yes, it's the first time I've ever been there. And one of the things that stuck out to me was the entrance. It is almost literally a hole in the wall next to the lobby of the. So you have the giant, beautiful lobby of the Contemporary, and there's this like it's like a porthole, and it kind of gives you into the vibe of wave and ocean and like just that seascape mentality of like it's this tiny place off to the side, and you go in, and then it just opens up broadly to you.
Right, you initially walk into the check-in area, which has this big blue seating section to the side, and then behind a glass fixture, you find the bar, which is a really beautiful bar. Now, obviously, when we were there at 10 o'clock in the morning, the bar wasn't all that full, which is probably a good sign. Then we sat down and we had our meal, so Jeff and I sort of got the same thing with our meals. So, Jeff, why don't you say what you got and explain just sort of what you thought about it?
I got the classic Mickey waffle. It came with bacon, and I also added a side of the potatoes. This was my first time there, and as the basis of my blog is trying everything at Disney World, like everything it has to offer, I felt like, add a little bit here and there, try the different things. And especially with it going away potentially forever, we know it's closing soon for refurbishment. We don't know what it's going to be when it comes back. I wanted to try everything. It is my first time having just a straight up Mickey waffle. I've had it with a bunch of other things. It was fantastic as always. I thought just perfection. I don't know how you mass produce perfection like that, but Disney finds a way. They're always just the best. For me, the bacon, we talked about this during the meal, but like for me, bacon people are in two camps. You're either crunchy or you are soggy, and just they're warring factions, and Disney kind of just meets you in the middle. It was kind of crunchy. It was kind of soggy. It can placate both people. It was unassuming bacon. It was just run-of-the-mill bacon. Nothing fancy about that. If you want that, go to the Edison. And then the potatoes were good. I found them fine. Throw a little syrup on them, they make them even better. So, yeah, that was my meal. I love the Mickey waffle. I love the waffle.
And I just want to point out that these aren't the Mickey waffles that you would get at like a quick service location at your resort. These are big time large Mickey waffles. You only get one. It does come with a side of fruit sauce, like a jam, but we have not for the life of us been able to tell exactly what type of fruit it was. I did use it, but I also used syrup, so it kind of dialed down that flavor a little bit as well, but it was really good. I just got the potatoes because, of course, anybody who listens to the show knows I'm a vegetarian, so I didn't get the bacon. I replaced it with the potatoes. I thought they were really good. I didn't put syrup on the potatoes. I went with the hot sauce, and that really, really brought out the flavor. Loved them. Couldn't say enough about that. Considering Jeff was the only millennial at the table, it's kind of a surprise that I got the avocado toast appetizer. This was $12, avocado, toasted multigrain bread, caramelized onion jam. It is 100% plant-based. This was really, really good. This was the star of the show for me. It was a little spicy. Whatever they used in that avocado had a little bit of a kick to it. The caramelized onion jam, we were trying to figure out what it was while we were eating it. It almost tasted like it was an apple butter or an apple jam. It was sweet. This was a really, really good option. I would definitely recommend it. I would say if you are going to breakfast in the next couple of days, because it appears that they have stopped doing reservations for the wave on July 15th. But if you are there and you have the chance to try this avocado toast, I would definitely recommend it. Now, Courtney, what did you get?
I got the Floridian Eggs Benedict. This was $17, and it was 2 poached eggs, crab cake with hollandaise sauce, atop toasted English muffins, and served with breakfast potatoes. The potatoes are kind of your regular Disney potatoes if you've had them before. They're always good, in my opinion. But the Eggs Benedict with the crab cake was wonderful. I'm a seafood fan. I know I've kind of talked about that before. So I tend to gravitate towards dishes that have seafood when I want to, try something different. And at this restaurant, I wanted to go for it and really find that special dish. And I think I did it here. The eggs and the hollandaise sauce were not too heavy, just provided some creaminess. The crab cakes were very much a lump crab cake with basically no filler, but just enough to season it perfectly. English muffins were crisp, but not too crisp, just done very, very perfectly. And the whole dish went together so well that I really thoroughly enjoyed it and definitely recommend it.
All right, thank you, Courtney. And I thought I would just mention that we were doing this as a celebration of my birthday. If you were listening to this episode the day it airs, my birthday was actually yesterday. But earlier this week when we were there, we were celebrating, and our server, Gavin from Dublin, Ireland, also brought me out a very beautiful cupcake that was basically just your standard cupcake. It wasn't anything special, but it was really good, and it was free, which is the most special thing you can possibly get at Disney. So I did want to mention that Gavin was a great server. Everything as far as the atmosphere and the service and all of that was, I would say, perfect. We put our name in for the reservation, and I think it was about 35 seconds before they had a table for us. Jeff and I, being social media influencers, let's just say, we were trying to take pictures of the lobby and do all that stuff. And they're like, no, sit down, have some food, man. So that was really cool. And then we got the chance to walk around the Contemporary because there were some things that we both wanted to see or enjoy for a little bit. One of them was a piece of history that Jeff was interested in seeing.
I've heard the stories of Richard Nixon and the I'm not a crook speech, and so I want to say, I'm not positive, but I want to say I have seen online images of like a plaque that stated that it was that it happened at the Contemporary, and like it was in this ballroom that it happened. And we walked around for a bit, and didn't see the thing. So I don't know if they took it down or we were just in the wrong place at the wrong time or whatnot, but we looked and we couldn't find it. So we were just another reason to go back to the Contemporary.
So I know for a fact we were at the right ballroom. I've had multiple cast members at the Contemporary tell me in the past that it is Ballroom of the Americas. That is the room where Richard Nixon said, "I am not a crook." We weren't able to find the plaque that Jeff believes was there. So if anybody does know about the plaque, bang it in the comments. We would always love to see that. Maybe it's gone for a little bit. I'm not 100% sure. But we had somebody who's a Disney nerd like myself who researches this stuff all the time, and we had a cast member, and we couldn't find it. So I'm thinking it's not there, at least right now. After that, we did some walking around the Contemporary. They are doing a lot of renovation at the Contemporary. So there were a lot of brown walls up everywhere doing construction. As many of you know, they're updating a lot of the rooms to an Incredibles theme. So that is happening right now. And it is sort of, I'll say taking away a little bit of the ambiance at the Contemporary. But to bring you the magic, Disney has to do some of this construction. They're just starting to pull down the big crane from the Tron construction in Tomorrowland. We're moving forward. People know what Epcot's been like for the past few years, but we're moving forward. Just sometimes you have to put up with that kind of stuff.
I want to say, I think it's one of those, you take it, you accept it now that it's this way, because October 1st, everything is going to be fixed and done, and it's just going to look amazing. Like, we're here in June and July, and it's looking kind of rough, but like from now till October 1st, it's just going to slowly go away and slowly be done and slowly be done and slowly be done. And then October 1st, when all of this celebration, this 18-month celebration begins, everything's just going to be perfect at that time.
And I don't want to get too much of your hopes up. Things like Tron will not be open, and the Guardians of the Galaxy roller coaster. There will still be construction. There still will be things happening after October 1st that will be a part of the official 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World celebrations. But yes, a lot of those construction walls are going to be coming down soon. But anyway, thank you so much for not only joining me on the podcast today, Jeff, but also joining me bright and early at the Wave of American Flavors at the Contemporary Resort. As we said earlier, it looks like it's probably going to be going down for refurbishment around the middle of this month, the middle of July. But we thought we would check out their breakfast for you and give you a little review. Jeff, thanks so much for being here.
I appreciate it. And again, happy birthday. And thank you for letting me be a part of it. And again, knocking something off my list of trying everything at Disney.
This has been episode 22 of Tall Guy Talks Travel with Rick Doherty. I want to thank Kiki from the YouTube channel That's So Kiki, Jeff from the blog Magical Pursuit, and my wife Courtney for joining me on the show today. Of course, I am an authorized Disney travel planner with Ear to There Travel. My services are always 100% free to you. Just $200 down can lock in your next Disney vacation. Email me, rick@eartotheretravel.com, or give me a call, 727-507-3123. Also, like, subscribe, and comment. There's a lot coming up in the next few months. I already have a Park Pass reservation for the first day of Food and Wine at Epcot. Sarah from Seattle and I will be going to Disneyland next month, and I have tickets to Boo Bash. We'll be talking about all of that on future episodes of the show. I will also be sharing pictures, videos, blogs, and live streams on my social media pages, facebook.com/eartothererick, twitter.com/rick_ear, and instagram.com/rickear2there. Thank you for listening to Tall Guy Talks Travel with Rick Doherty. Talk to you next Thursday. Have a great week.